everyone, we're back for another episode of the Martial View then after a couple of weeks off, and we are back with Andy Crittenden today, who is a fantastic martial arts instructor, has got clubs all around the country, has trained with some of the top guys, and it's an absolute privilege to have him on. So Andy, how are you doing?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. You're more than welcome.
It's an honor to be on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on here. You've got quite a background. I was reading up about you and like kind of what you've done and who you train with and stuff. And it's like a who's who of martial arts. Like you train with all the best ones. Like it's amazing. Like
I've been really lucky.
How did it all start for you in terms of training and what got you into martial arts in the first place?
Well, I started as a kid. I was just shy of my 7th birthday. Watched Karate Kid. That was it. Watched Karate Kid. How can I get this? And I went to Taekwondo first. That's my background initially. And I'm really grateful that I got the right school from the start, and that helped. You mentioned training with other people. That helped from the start with other school. Other instructors that I trained with as well. I always had a bit of a high expectations of who I want to train with.
Yeah.
So I started training with Kim Stones in 1987.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of ticked over, if I'm honest. It weren't, we were like a love from the start.
Okay.
As a kid, it was like it was part of my routine, but it wasn't the be all and end all. So but I enjoyed it. I went twice a week, and eventually got my black belt after 9 years, and that's when it really started for me. Started training to become an instructor. So that was my calling, really. That was the big thing for me.
What do you think made the switch for you in terms of wanting to become an instructor then, from going kind of part-time to just doing it as and when, like you said, making it a routine, to then going, oh, actually, I want to make this?
Well, when I was 14, I was going to take my black belt, and I tore ligaments in my ankle, and I couldn't do it. Yeah. And then when I was 15, the next grading came around. I was like a bit disillusioned with it all, and and I did my grading and I failed it.
Right. And
it was the best thing that ever happened to me, and it just changed everything. And it was the biggest lesson in life that I've ever had. So from there, I was just about ready to leave school, and I was having to do some sort of a bit similar to like Duke of Edinburgh, but more of a local one, and I had to help a local business or something. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? I can't do it. I'm not very skilled in like gardening or anything like that, or cooking at an old folks home or anything. So I asked if I could help out in classes, and the minute I started helping in classes, that was it. I had to do something like 10 hours, and I just thought, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And it is. I left school and, never had another job in my life. Just had one job.
Yeah, just the one job. Did you find it difficult to start off with then, transitioning from kind of student to then instructor, and then instructor to professional instructor, and, making a living from it?
Probably not really, because I was working for my instructor at the time, and it was around the time, mid-90s, when the boom hit, where there's a lot of the schools were getting influenced by the American schools, and they were going professional, and they were going full-time places and charging monthly fees, and all this sort of stuff. And the school where I trained was already a full-time place anyway.
Right.
But it'd gone from like having junior and adult classes to a huge timetable. So and my instructor was still involved at the time, so I got to train in the classes with him and got to teach everything from the little dragons to the beginners, and eventually the advanced kids to the adults. So it was it was a really smooth transition. Something I not really thought about until you asked for that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just seemed everything sort of slotted into place generally.
That's good, yeah. When did you start diversifying then in terms of what you were training in the martial arts? You said your Taekwondo background to start off with, but as we alluded to earlier, you've done so much.
it wasn't or isn't my thing. I still love it. We still teach it in our schools, but I have other instructors that teach the Taekwondo now.
Okay.
But it wasn't for me. I was stiff as a skinhead's boot, always have been. And I've got arthritis now as well. So if I hadn't made the choice, that would have made the choice. And I just, my friend at the time who we worked together was an amazing kicker, a guy called Scott Iron. He's a actor now.
Yeah.
He's gone down that route. And I thought, he's so good. And, that's all you get. And I think, I'm never going to get to that level. Let me have something that, I can have a try of. And I tried a few things. And then the thing that stuck was Dave Turton.
Yeah.
I read Martial Arts Illustrated, and I was like, every month trying to find somebody in there. There was no internet or anything. If there was, I could work at it. So Martial Arts Illustrated was where you went for information.
Yeah.
So I remember reading this article and looking at the picture, and I thought, this is perfect. And I want to do this. I don't care where it is. I passed my driving test.
Yeah.
So, and I was working full time as a martial arts instructor. So I had the time to, if I could get some morning classes or something like that, or private tuition. And at the end of the article, he had his phone number, and it was a local number.
Hey.
It was, I'm in Doncaster, and he was in Rotherham.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe it. And it was over Christmas, 1999. And I thought, I'm going to respect his privacy.
Yeah.
But on 2nd of January, the first thing I'm doing is ringing this guy.
Yeah.
2nd of January, rang him up, arranged to train with him 20 minutes down the road. He had his top guy there with him, Carl Blackwell, who's also been a really big influence on me. And Carl just knocked me about for an hour. And I just thought, this is what I want to do. And Dave had a board up he had a full-time centre at the time, and he had a board up with all the black belts' names on. And I just looked up at Carl's, and I was like, he was a 4th dan at the time, and I was like, I need to be one of those. Yeah. That was my goal then. It was never black belt or coming to another class. It was, I'm going to be a 4th dan. I need to be able to do that to people. I don't even know what he did to me. He just ran me all off at mat for an hour, and I just loved it. I just kept going back. Yeah. So 21 years later, still got a really good. Dave doesn't teach as much now, but still big influence on me. His granddaughter trains with me, and he still grades my black belts in his SDF Goshinkai stuff. So, that was up there with teaching, starting teaching, meeting Dave, and opening my own school. They were the 3, game changer days really for me.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So now you've got a series of schools, all under the kind of AC, MAC brand. And like, how did that come about then? Was that something that you always wanted? Did you always want to have satellite schools and start maybe franchising it or build that hub of businesses?
I opened my own school in January 2003. And it was, things happened and I left and I opened up. So I just loved, I love teaching. I was teaching my kitchen when we did for 18 months, didn't we? On Zoom. We teach anywhere. I just wanted to do it. And when the time was right, I opened my own school, and it was going really well. We went, we opened on, we've got like a funny shaped building. It's like a domino.
Right.
So there's no stairs, but there's an upper ground floor and a lower ground floor.
Okay.
And I found this building. I was training with Mick Shaw at the time, and I was doing a screamer and grappling and boxing, whatever else with Mick. And he said,
"Yep,
you need to look at this place on Sanford Road." And I looked through the windows and I thought, wow. And it was a bit of a risk opening. I was only 22, and I was like, it was a bit of a risk. And I opened. And after 5 months, we outgrew the place. So we had to take the next unit on, the above one, which is where we still are now, nearly 19 years later. And we grew from like 0 to 120 members in about 3 months.
Wow.
So it was, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And we were doing really well. I had a few students from my old school come with me. It was like high grades, and an expansion sort of happened because somebody I knew had a school in Barnsley and they wanted to sell it. And I was in a position where I could staff it
right
a couple of times a week. So we did that. We went right to the final. I sometimes forget about it. Went right to the final, signing it over, as you changed your mind.
Last minute thing, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, we got everything ready. So we opened another one anyway. But we just did it closer to home. And that one lasted for only a couple of years, and we closed it because I had instructors teaching who had jobs and kids and things, and it was quite difficult. And I found myself going all the time, I always wanted to have just that one school.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because I've got more, but obviously we'll get to that in a minute. And then I got to a point in about 2009 when we was doing really well, and I spoke to my missus, who was just my bird at the time, who was for quite some time ago now. So, and I said, look, I think we should go for this. I think we should build it up. And she'd been on board for a few years, and I'd got a few 20, 21-year-olds, that were ready, that had been training with me since they were 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so we opened 3 schools. We should have opened 1, maybe. We opened 3 schools within the space of 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are still going, which is good, because we went in black.
Yeah, good going.
And then that was in the September, October 2010. And then 2011, I was helping another school in the area where I live. And I was helping them. He was quite a low grader, we were doing gradings and stuff like that with him.
Yeah.
And then again over Christmas, they just packed in. There's like, we're done. We was like, right, okay. And that was the only thing stopping us from opening one in that area. So Lucy, my wife, now, she would have been probably second down at the time.
Yep.
And there was a hall. We was like literally talking about it, and there was a hall over the road from our house. I don't know, let's get in there.
Yeah.
And she opened 1 night a week on a Monday, and then she had something like 40 people on the first night. It was just, insanely busy, and expanded it ever since. And then we've been up to 9 schools, but sometimes we've closed them, merged them. Sometimes the instructor wasn't right, and they're under the ACMAC brand, but they're their own schools.
Okay.
There is scope in the future for me to open one with staff, but they're owned by their instructors.
Yeah.
And that's the way I wanted them to be, because I just think martial arts is a personality-driven thing, and I think it is down to that person's personality, but doesn't mean you have to have a whole new brand. Having a successful brand in businesses is the key. Yeah. For example, there's a sandwich shop near where I live, and it's just a local guy, and he does great selection of food, and you can go straight in with no queuing.
Yep.
And around the corners are Greg's, and there's always people rammed in there.
Yeah.
And it's not any better.
Yeah.
But it's having that brand, and that's what drives you in. So our goal is that we are better. Yeah. We've got the brand to drag you in, but then we've got the other side, which is it's not just, running the mill. It's that person's personality with our curriculum, and our systems and all this. So it's sort of trying to get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, sure.
And all the guys that teach, the running at my school, they're all experienced as well. We're not just shoving a belt on somebody to get them in there. You know, the lowest grade we've got running at school at the minute is third dan. She's got 40 world titles.
Wow.
So it's, you know, the third, fourth, fifth dans, and everyone who's, you know, not that it matters, but everyone that's that runs the school at the minute is a world champion in points continuous or forms. So we're trying to, you know, best of both worlds really, and and just serve the community. There's just so many martial art schools out there. They'll only get more and more. There's people on my doorstep, you know, and everyone's doorstep. But my goal was I want to see more people in this t-shirt, you know, and I just felt I believe in what we do. I think that's what I'm trying to say, and I really wanted to get it out there in Doncaster, and now we're outside of Doncaster as well. So, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, perfect. What do you attribute your success to then, do you think? You know, you said that you got kind of 120 members in 3 months, and what do you think was the key to success with that, with people, you know, starting to build their schools up again now after COVID, and maybe some schools have been hit hard than others and things?
Well, it's all right.
Advice for them.
But having a good, you know, that's when we opened. We had 120 when we first opened. You know, that was 19 years ago. There's probably 3 of them left. Yeah. So you've got to, you know, you've got to love it, you know, and I love every aspect of martial arts. I love teaching. I love talking about it. I love training. I love, you know, going to events, networking, you know, and I think you've got to love it. You've got to have a passion for it, and you've got to be willing to put the work in. You've got to work hard, you know, even when people think that you get up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go and teach at 4 for a couple of hours and you get all money, you don't have to pay the rent, you know, you don't have any bills, and it's easy. They don't realise you get a million messages every day off parents and, you know, all the stuff that goes into it. So you've got to try and, you know, it's a lot. You've got to play the marathon, not the sprint, and you've got to, you know, you've got to be willing to maybe reinvent yourself. Look, you know, when I first started teaching, there were no internet. Now that's where all the marketing is. Yeah. You know, so you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to adapt. You know, like my main school, my HQ is a big old building, and you know, you constantly having to do it up. You know, replace equipment. You know, keep it looking clean, tidy, and you know, it can be hard work, but it's just so rewarding. Yeah. You know, to see. I'm lucky that I've got a lot of people that were with me for a lot of years, and that's the best thing is seeing kids grow up, and you know, go to their weddings one day or the kids' christenings or things like that, and you know, seeing them achieve on and off the mat. Yeah. So I think you can't fake that. You know what I mean? And you've got to try. You know, for me, it's trying to find the balance. You know, you get people say, "Oh, it's all about business because you've got a lot of students, you've got a lot of schools." Well, yeah, of course, it's a business. You know, that's what we do, and it's not a dirty word. And you know, it's become a lot less of a dirty word in the UK in the last few years, thanks to Gordon Bircham and his group. That you know, just pushing it out there all the time. Yep. Whereas before that, it was like you couldn't say it. You know, and like. You know, it's just trying to find that balance all the time and go change with the times. Yeah, definitely. We've got to talk about some of the people that you train with then and brought over. Yeah, like I said, it's just such a rich tapestry of martial artists that come. So we've got Dave Irwin with a screamer. We've got Royce Gracie, Bill Wallace, Terry Brown. Some amazing names there. How did it all come about for you? Was that just what you always wanted to do? You just wanted to train as many things as you could with as many people as you could? I started training with Dave Turton in 2000, and then I started training with Mick Shaw around the same time. And then when I stopped training with Mick, I started training with Dave Irwin. Right. And I'd done some jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, grappling, you know, as well with different, you know, variety of different people. From 2008 to about 2018, probably, I travelled to Selby to train with Dave Irwin in a screamer who's absolutely class. Yeah. You know, just an amazing escrimador, you know, just because he's kept sort of quiet over the years. People don't realise his level. He's phenomenal and taught me a lot. And I was training with him on the Thursday, training with Dave and a friend of mine, Ian Harrison. We were training partners. And I'd already been training with Dave. I was a black belt and Ian was a brown belt. And I heard Ian saying, I want to get regular tuition. And Dave was, well, I ain't got my club anymore. I ain't know where to do it. And I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll get him. I'll be his training partner to his black belt. And that's all it was.
Yeah.
I was going to train with Ian to be his training partner. And then 15 years later, we were still 9:30 on a Tuesday morning, still training together. And then, you know, lots of other people came across. Bill Wallace was always a big name for me, and I got the chance to host him.
Yeah.
And I just hosted him and hosted him and hosted him. And then he eventually started grading some of our guys, you know, myself and some of my instructors.
Yeah.
We've got him actually in October, getting him.
Nice.
He's coming back soon, which is exciting.
Fantastic.
Just an amazing guy, amazing personality, amazing history. You know, just the best. Billy Robinson is a big one for me. He was my hero. I was so into. I love all the Gracie and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff. I'm reading Hicks's book at the minute. And it's
is it good? I'm going to get it. I think
it's amazing. Yeah. And then I graded with Royce, and then my instructor moved down to London and just sort of never really reconnected with it.
Yeah.
And just Dave Turner getting me into wrestling and catch wrestling. And I was just researching it all the time. And I'd bought the War DVDs from Scientific Wrestling, Jake Shannon.
Yeah.
And I was just literally on it all the time, watching it all the time. Come here, try this. Let me try this on you. Come here. And I'd contacted Jake about going to America and training with him, with Billy on one of his camps. And I never got, the dates never worked out, or the money never worked out, or whatever. And then one day I got this joint group message on Facebook, and it was from Jake Shannon saying, hey, all you guys have inquired about coming to United States training with Billy Robinson. If all of you do it, we can definitely do a camp. But I need someone to host it.
Yeah.
But you've got to put all the money up. And I was like, me? Oh. And I just put, I'll do it. And I was like,
say yes, think about it later. Yeah.
So you put in stuff on, and we're like Cage Warriors Forum back then.
Yeah.
Who knows Billy Robinson catch wrestling? What is that? I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I've just set myself, and it was about 10 grand. I needed to make, you know, flights, airfare, hotels, you know, seminar fees, blah, blah. I was like, this is going to cripple me. So I had to really push it. There was a few good people that got behind it. On the first year, we had seminar. Aaron Bannister had him in Slough. Ian Bromley had him in Stockport. Chris Crossan had him in Stockton-on-Tees. And Nathan Leverton, Levo, who's, you know, grappling god.
Yeah.
In my eyes, you know, he had him in Leicester. And then, obviously, I had him in Doncaster. And it went really well. You know, we covered the costs. You know, we had a few issues with the flights, and you know, I thought, oh my God, we're gonna have to dress him up as him. We didn't think he was gonna get over there. Yeah. And he was just the best guy to ever, you know, to meet. I was so nervous meeting him because I'd read all this catch wrestling and all this pro wrestling, catch wrestlers in pro wrestling, blah blah blah, and just meeting him just for the first time. It was just unbelievable. I was so excited, and I was nervous. And he just sat in my car, and it was like he was my friend straight away.
Yeah,
he was fierce. He was the most fierce instructor I've ever trained with.
Yeah,
off the mat, just
nicest guy,
a great guy. Yeah. You could do, you know, I could do a whole hour just talking about just some of these people. You know, Billy was up there. You mentioned Terry Brown as well.
Yeah.
So I've been travelling to London and then Peterborough, trained with Terry for a long time in English martial arts. Very patriotic to I like that sort of stuff, and you know, he's a really good guy. I try not to think of who else you mentioned because it's hard, this one.
Roberts.
Trevor Roberts,
yeah.
I spoke to Trevor over the weekend, actually. You know,
is he all right?
Just an amazing person.
Yeah, he's cool.
You know, if I could share a story with Trevor, I used to go over to Bolton to train with him, and I got knocked out when I did my 5th dan. And I had concussion for a while, and I went to Bolton to train with him probably a few weeks later, and I was really lightheaded and dizzy, and he said, "I'll take you home." And I went, "Trevor, I live in Doncaster." He went, "I know, I'll take you home, I'll come back, and I'll come get you in the morning, you can drive your car home."
Oh, bless him. Yeah.
What a guy, you know, hard as nails as well, and just a lovely guy, you know. After Dave Turner, he's probably done the most seminars. Well, him and Bill Wallace probably about, he's probably done more than Bill, probably. Bill's probably done about 15. Trevor's probably done about 20, 25 at my place. So, you know, and I just think that I'm hoping the generation of martial arts instructors out there now don't go, you know, there's a lot of young guys making waves in the industry, and you know, these people that have come before us are everything, you know. They just, and there's so many out there, you know, the ones that I've spoke about and my history, and there's so many others that are out there, and you know, like I could go on all day. The guy that I train with at the minute, Brian Lister, in Doncaster, he runs Doncaster Sambo, but he's jiu-jitsu, judo, BJJ, and I learned Kobudo off him. It's Kempo that he does. I learned the traditional Japanese sword and sticks and stick blade and chain Kobudo off him. You know, just and again a great guy. So many others like Danny Hoskins, who I trained with him, Native American Warrior Arts and Viking Gleamer. You know, we brought him over a few times, and Johnny Husky, quite a not very well known catch wrestler, but should have been, because he was just, you know, real tough carny wrestler. You know, and so many others. You know, it's been such a privilege to train with this many people. I'm trying to wrap my brain now. We've got I try to go through in an order of people that I've trained with. So
lots and lots.
Yeah.
What's the plans for the future then for ACMAC and for yourself and your schools? And
well, we didn't plan for this pandemic, but it's worked out quite all right.
It's put a hindrance on things.
I think it's you know, I think everybody's experienced a surge since this. So, you know, we've got 6 schools now, and all of them are bigger than they were pre-lockdown. It's insane. And we opened a new one 15 weeks ago in Worksop, which is my stepdaughter runs it, and she's gone 15 weeks from 43 members, which, you know, just shows she ain't even had a good period of time yet either. It's been summer, so she had a September or January where you get that intake. So you know, for us, it's all about, you know, carrying on and see what opportunities come up. I'd love to have more schools. You know, I'd love to see more of my instructors benefiting from teaching martial arts financially. You know, they work hard for many years. Our instructor course is really in depth, and it takes a long time to crack it. But it's 24 years anyway, so not many people have cracked it yet. But the only one who's been with me that long. But, you know, to the initial to pass the full instructor's course is like 3 to 4 years. So, you know, and that's after already being a black belt. So maybe nice to do that. We have events. We have more people over. You know, like say Bill Wallace seminar, we can just drop it on it now, saying let's have a Bill Wallace seminar. We've got 6 schools. Each school brings 10 people. We've sold it out. You know, so we can bring those people. Zulfi Ahmed is someone that, you know, I met recently through Ken Pankovic. Went over and trained with him in Houston, Texas, a couple of years ago. We've definitely been back probably 3 times since, if it weren't for all this. You know, absolute amazing martial artist, so knowledgeable. Last time we had a seminar with him, and none of our students knew who it was. It was just, they were just feeding off me training with him. I trained with him in Islam, I trained with him in Spain, and trained with him in Texas. And, you know, there was like, it was packed.
Yeah.
You know, it was an amazing seminar because we had those sort of numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing, as well as me training with people, I've always wanted my people to train
with people,
with the best. And
yeah,
nearly all those people that you mentioned have been to Doncaster.
Yeah.
You know, Grandmaster Zulfi, you know, Bill Wallace, Billy Robinson, Dave Turton, all these people, Dave Kovar, you know, we had Raymond Daniels, you know, we had Joe Lewis, Jeff Smith, and Bill Wallace at the same night in Doncaster.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, it's important that I just think it's just an amazing thing, you know, and I just think so many people have achieved so much in the martial arts historically, and, you know, in one way or another, either as a school owner or as a competitor or whatever. And I think just training with these people, my niece is really into it at the minute. She's trained on and off since she was 4 or 5. She's 10 now. She's getting a little bit more serious about it. She's I think she went for a blue belt end of this month.
Yep.
And I've been looking after her this weekend, and I was telling her about Bill Wallace. She's like, wow. And I was showing like pictures of Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
You know, because no matter what, everybody knows Elvis Presley.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, you know, and I was showing her like videos of him, and she's like, I can't wait to train with this person. And I think that's super important.
Yeah.
You know, they can get to see, it sets the tone as well. It's not like, oh, I've got my black belt now, quit. Oh, Bill Wallace didn't.
Yeah, yeah. 100%.
You know, it's having them positive role models, and especially if you get somebody like Zulfi or Dave Kovar in front of your kids. You know, and Kim Snows was like that. You know, just really inspires. You know, I bet I could look at my Zulfi seminar photo. I bet most of them kids are still training because he inspired them that much. He said the right things, and you know, you bring someone into your school who has the right mentality, ethos. You know, almost thinking from the same industry, if you will. You know, it reinforces what you're doing. It shows that you're doing a good job.
Yeah,
people have faith in you.
Yeah,
so.
100%. Andy, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing about all your history and everything.
You don't get many one-word answers, I'm afraid.
No, that's good. It makes my job easy. Loving it.
Once you get cracking, that's it. I just don't shut up. But
yeah, no, good stuff. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and good luck with everything in the future.
Yeah, and you. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.